400, a brother who killed.
Bro, I want to be Martin King.
Shit down.
I don't know, bro, because you told on some brothers. You told on some black men, and you're a Mexican probably.
Oh, cool. Alright.
That's how you probably feel like that.
So this is what I'm saying. So I told him some brothers. Who killed Nipsey? A brother.
For sure.
Who killed Vaughn?
For sure.
A brother.
For sure.
Who killed PNB Rock? A brother.
For sure.
Who killed Pop Smoke? A brother. Who killed a Biggie? A brother. Who killed Tupac? A brother. Who killed Slim 400? A brother. Who killed?
Bro, I want to be Martin King.
Shit down.
6ix9ine just walked into Big Bank's interview, sat down with a folder full of receipts, and absolutely cooked everybody in hip-hop whoever called him a rat while allegedly moving like one themselves. And nobody in that room could shut it down. Not Big Bank, not 21 Savage's people, not the Gunna defenders, nobody. But the wildest part? The rappers reacting to this interview right now, the ones applauding it, the ones staying silent, the ones suddenly disappearing offline, they became part of the story too. Because the way people reacted to 6ix9ine exposing the industry tells you exactly where they stand in it. Y'all gotta hear this. Now let me make this clear. This is not some 6ix9ine redemption story, and I'm definitely not here saying he's a saint. That's not what this is. What I'm saying is simple. 6ix9ine walked into that interview loaded with facts. And when somebody comes with paperwork, videos, and receipts, it doesn't matter how much the culture hates them, those facts still hit. And they hit hard. So we're breaking this whole thing down piece by piece. The interview itself, the U-Visa conversation, the Gunna Crime Stoppers, clip the exact moment Big Bank got cornered with, nowhere to go, and then every rapper reaction afterward, what they said, what they didn't say, and what it really exposed about the hypocrisy inside this industry. Let's talk about it. To understand why this interview felt different, you first gotta understand who Big Bank is in hip-hop culture. Big Bank ain't just some random podcast dude. He's one of the most respected street-certified interviewers in rap media right now. He's from that environment. He's lived it. So when he sits across from somebody asking questions, people take it seriously because he's never been viewed as fake or soft. Rappers trust him because they feel like they can come on his platform, speak freely, and not get blindsided. That's the important word here, trust. So when 6ix9ine, who's basically been blackballed from almost every major hip-hop platform since 2020, suddenly reaches out to Big Bank, you already know something's up. You know he's plotting something. The culture hasn't wanted to give 6ix9ine a voice for years. 21 Savage made that clear. Young Thug Side made that clear. Lil Durk made that clear. The entire Atlanta rap scene practically put an unofficial ban on even entertaining this man. But here's where things got interesting. 6ix9ine didn't come for just another interview. He came looking for a chess match, and Big Bank, whether he realized it or not, walked into a game he wasn't fully ready for. See, this is what people miss about 6ix9ine's strategy. He's been locked out of hip-hop circles for years. Every time he tried to show up somewhere, the culture shut the door on him. No shows, no events, no interviews, just constant exile. So instead of crashing out emotionally, 6ix9ine got strategic. He spent years collecting clips, screenshots, court paperwork, tweets, videos, basically building a full file on the same people criticizing him. And once Big Bank gave him a platform, he finally unloaded all of it. And somehow, Big Bank, a guy known for staying sharp and never getting caught slipping in interviews, got caught slipping badly. Why? Because you can't defend contradictions forever. That's really the lesson in all of this. The interview wasn't even 3 minutes in before Big Bank stepped into the first trap. He opened with what was supposed to be a shot at 6ix9ine, asking, "Why do you wake up with other men on your mind?" He was talking about 21 Savage, Young Thug, and all the Atlanta rappers who've publicly clowned 6ix9ine over the years. But here's where Big Bank messed up. By asking that question, he framed 6ix9ine like the aggressor, like he randomly woke up one day targeting these rappers for no reason. And 6ix9ine instantly flipped it around. He basically said, "I'm not waking up thinking about them. I'm responding to them. Meek Mill mentioned me. Lil Durk mentioned me. King Von mentioned me. 21 Savage mentioned me. None of them are even from New York, so why are they speaking on my New York case?" Now this is where Big Bank stumbled the first time. Instead of admitting that 6ix9ine technically had a point about responding to people who mentioned him first, Big Bank says, "Well, y'all are all rappers in the same field, so they can speak on it." And that's exactly where the logic fell apart. Because in the same sentence, Big Bank basically justified 6ix9ine speaking back. You can't criticize somebody for responding to attacks and then turn around and say the original people had every right to say whatever they wanted. That doesn't add up. And 6ix9ine caught that instantly. Let me explain it the real way. Big Bank's whole argument was that 6ix9ine shouldn't even be speaking on these dudes. But 6ix9ine pulled up receipts and clips showing that Big Bank himself had hosted those same rappers while they were talking about him first. Completely unprovoked, 21 Savage literally came onto Big Bank's platform and mentioned 6ix9ine first. Big Bank didn't shut it down back then. He didn't say, "Nah, let's not go there." He let the conversation rock. So now 6ix9ine's sitting there basically saying, "You moderated my response, but you platformed the original disrespect." And everybody watching online immediately saw what was happening. Big Bank looked like he was playing both sides. He let Atlanta rappers throw shots at 6ix9ine on his platform, but once 6ix9ine finally sat down for his turn, suddenly the rules changed. That's not keeping it neutral. That's favoritism. And 6ix9ine exposed that in less than 5 minutes. No exaggeration. Then came the moment that completely broke the internet. 6ix9ine pulls out the screen, starts bringing up documents, and directly asks Big Bank about 21 Savage.
Started the case?
I'm saying you started.
My case, the blood case, right?
Yeah.
The non-trade blood case, what they went down for, right? I started that. I took them down.
Oh no, I can't say that. No, I can't say that.
No, you
I
can't say that.
I can't say that.
So, who started that case?
Does 21 Savage have a U visa? How is he legally in the United States right now? Big Bank instantly hesitated. And for people who don't know the backstory, here's why that question mattered so much.
This interview came out before I even responded to him. Am I right or wrong?
I don't know. I don't keep up with it.
So this interview came out 4 months ago. I would say, right? So I never mentioned 21 Savage, but this is what he had to say on the Big Bang Show.
21 Savage, born Shayab bin Abraham Joseph, was born in London, England. He came to America as a child and overstayed his visa. For years, most fans assumed he was fully legal, but in 2019, ICE arrested him over immigration issues. The industry immediately rallied behind him. Jay-Z and Rock Nation reportedly helped connect him with a top immigration lawyer who managed to get him released on bond while his case continued. But here's where things got complicated. During that immigration battle, 21 Savage's legal team reportedly secured him a U visa. By October 2023, he officially became a lawful permanent resident after a years-long immigration process that reportedly tied back to a 2013 shooting case and a U visa application filed in 2017. Now here's the important part. A U visa is specifically for non-citizens who are victims of certain crimes and who cooperate with law enforcement during investigations or prosecutions. That's the key detail. To qualify, you have to provide assistance testimony or cooperation connected to the case. So 6ix9ine literally puts the definition on the screen word for word and asks Big Bank to read it out loud. And Big Bank, a guy who normally never stumbles during interviews, starts reading but conveniently skips over the part mentioning cooperation with law enforcement. He stopped right before it. 6ix9ine immediately caught it and told him to go back and read the entire thing. And once Big Bank finally read the full definition, the room got awkwardly quiet. Because street culture has always pushed one rule harder than almost anything else. Don't cooperate with law enforcement against other people. That's considered snitching. Period. So 6ix9ine's argument was basically this. The same people calling him a rat defended another rapper who also signed documents involving cooperation with authorities. That was his whole point. Big Bank tried every angle possible. He argued 21 Savage was a victim. 6ix9ine responded, "Okay, but street rules don't suddenly disappear because somebody was a victim." Big Bank said lots of people get shot and cooperate. 6ix9ine fired back, saying most people don't sign cooperation paperwork tied to legal status. And this is why the internet exploded. Because Wack 100 had already posted documents connected to 21 Savage's U visa years earlier during a Clubhouse argument. The information wasn't brand new. But this was the first time somebody directly confronted Big Bank with all the receipts live on camera and forced him to either defend it or condemn it. And Big Bank defended it, which made him look exactly like what 6ix9ine was accusing the industry of being selective with the rules depending on relationships. If the U visa conversation was the bombshell, then the Gunna segment was the aftershock that finished everything off. 6ix9ine then pulled up an old tweet from 21 Savage, where 21 allegedly acknowledged that Gunna had cooperated before the YSL Rico case even happened. Let that sink in. According to 6ix9ine's argument, the Atlanta scene already knew about certain situations involving Gunna, but stayed quiet out of loyalty. Now, 6ix9ine is sitting across from Big Bank with that tweet on the screen saying, Y'all already knew and still treated him like everything was solid. To Big Bank's credit, he tried to defend Gunna. But then 6ix9ine brought up the Crime Stoppers clip, and that's when everything got ugly. For anybody unfamiliar, the Crime Stoppers clip shows Gunna on camera discussing a shooting and pointing police attention toward who he believed was responsible. He was essentially telling authorities they had the wrong suspect while identifying another possible shooter. 6ix9ine played the video. Big Bank watched it. Everybody heard it. And Big Bank still tried explaining why it wasn't the same thing. That's where the situation completely fell apart for him. Because by this point, he had already defended the U-Visa issue, and now he was looking at actual footage connected to Gunna speaking on a criminal situation. Yet somehow there was still an excuse. Then 6ix9ine cornered him with one simple question. So telling on one person is okay, but telling on 5 people isn't? Is there a snitch scale now?
Does 21 Savage have a U visa? How is he in the United States right now? Right? 21 Savage is here off a U visa. You know what's a U visa?
Big Bank couldn't really answer that. Because if he says yes, then the street code becomes negotiable depending on numbers. But if he says no, then he has to criticize the same people he's defending. He was trapped either way. And 6ix9ine clearly knew that before the cameras even started rolling. Now this is where things got really interesting, because once the interview dropped, everybody in the culture had to react. And every reaction exposed something different. First up was Charleston White. Unlike most people in the industry, Charleston doesn't really move with allegiance to any specific camp, so he gave one of the most brutally honest takes out of everybody. Charleston basically said 6ix9ine is smart, calculated, and understands how to control narratives better than most rappers. He pointed out that 6ix9ine had been trying to sit down with the rap world for years, but kept getting shut out and dismissed as the Mexican kid nobody wanted around. But then Charleston said something deeper that a lot of people overlooked. He explained that in certain cartel and Mexican street cultures, the code is different. According to Charleston's perspective, when people cooperate with authorities, they protect their direct circle and give up outsiders instead. And in his eyes, 6ix9ine didn't turn on his own people, he turned on people from the rap and street scene who were never really his inner circle to begin with. Now, that doesn't excuse what happened, and Charleston wasn't necessarily saying it did. But what it showed was that he was at least willing to discuss the nuance honestly, instead of pretending the situation was black and white. And that honesty is exactly what a lot of the rap industry refused to do. Then came Wack 100. And Wack made a point that a lot of people in the culture didn't even want to touch. Remember Wack 100 sat down with 6ix9ine years ago right after he got out of prison, and the streets absolutely cooked Wack for it. 21 Savage even publicly said Wack looked lame for sitting with 6ix9ine. People pressed Wack hard just for being in the same room with him. Now fast forward to today, Big Bank sits down with 6ix9ine for a full 2-hour interview, and suddenly, all those same people are quiet. No outrage for Big Bank, no pressure. No viral tweets calling him lame for platforming somebody the culture labeled a rat. So Wack's question is simple. Why was everybody dragging me, but nobody's dragging Big Bank? And the answer, the one nobody wants to say out loud, is because the rules change depending on who the culture likes. Wack was never fully embraced by that inner circle the same way Big Bank is. So Big Bank gets grace that Wack never got. That's the hypocrisy right there in plain sight. No editing tricks, no narrative spinning, just the culture exposing exactly who gets protected and who gets sacrificed based on relationships instead of principles. Now let's talk about the people who suddenly went quiet after this interview dropped. Because honestly, that silence said more than any response could have. When this interview hit the internet, you would have expected 21 Savage to immediately address the U-Visa conversation. The way 6ix9ine laid it out with the documents on screen and Big Bank literally reading the definition aloud, you'd think there would have been some type of response. A clarification. A denial. A clapback. Something. Nothing. Complete silence. And then there's Gunna's side. You would think somebody from his camp would have addressed the Crime Stoppers video added context, explained the situation, anything at all. Again, silence. And that matters, because in hip-hop culture, if somebody lies on your name, you respond fast. If fake allegations get thrown around, people usually jump online immediately to shut it down. So, when neither camp really responded to the specific receipts, 6ix9ine presented people started looking at the situation differently. Because the receipts themselves weren't fake. Now here's the real conversation underneath all the drama, and I need y'all to really pay attention to this part. The entire anti-snitching code hip-hop built its moral identity around the no cooperation rule. The rat labels, all of that has never been applied equally. Not once. Not ever. That code has always been selective. Always. Think about every rapper the culture labeled a rat. Then think about every rapper who escaped those labels even after paperwork videos or accusations surfaced. The difference usually isn't just about what somebody actually did. A lot of the time it comes down to who people like and who they don't.
23, 21 Savage, Shia bin Abraham Joseph is a lawful, permanent resident of the United States, successfully resolving his long-standing immigration.
Not rumors, not internet gossip. Actual receipts. Now to be fair, I'll give Big Bank some credit here because I'm not trying to completely destroy the man. The truth is, Big Bank was in a lose-lose situation the second he agreed to do this interview. And honestly, I think part of him probably knew that beforehand. But the opportunity was big, the numbers were probably guaranteed, and he likely believed his experience as an interviewer would help him control the conversation. It didn't, because 6ix9ine came in way more prepared than expected. Here's what Big Bank probably should have done, and this matters because it's really about integrity under pressure. The smartest move would have been separating his personal street code from his role as a media personality. He could have simply said, "Personally, I don't cooperate, that's how I move. But as an interviewer, it's not my job to judge grown men or defend their choices. If 21 Savage got a U visa involving cooperation, that's his situation to answer for." That would have sounded honest. Consistent? Respectable? Instead, Big Bank tried protecting people he had relationships with. And by doing that, he basically confirmed exactly what 6ix9ine was accusing the culture of selective enforcement depending on who you're cool with. And here's the tricky part. After this interview, Big Bank has problems on both sides. If 21 Savage watches the interview and feels like Big Bank didn't defend him strongly enough, that relationship gets awkward. But if Big Bank defended him too aggressively, the internet would have instantly called it biased, and his credibility as an interviewer would have taken an even bigger hit. There really wasn't a clean escape route here. And 6ix9ine clearly understood that before the cameras even started rolling. Now, before I finish this breakdown, let me make something very clear. I'm not a 6ix9ine supporter. I'm not defending the way he cooperated or how he moved during those cases. People can still view that as rat behavior. But at the same time, you can recognize the strategy he's using right now. 6ix9ine figured out something most canceled rappers never understand. If the culture refuses to let you back in as an artist, you can still survive outside the culture as a commentator. And when you're outside the circle with receipts, you suddenly become dangerous because you're not protecting relationships anymore. Everybody still inside the industry has politics to manage. Friendships, business ties, alliances. People can't say certain things because it'll hurt deals or damage relationships. Everybody's walking on eggshells. 6ix9ine doesn't have that problem anymore. The worst thing the culture could do to him already happened years ago. He's already blacklisted, already labeled, already hated. So now he can sit across from Big Bank with folders full of documents, pull up clips, play videos, and say whatever he wants without worrying about consequences. That's not bravery. Let me separate that clearly. Bravery means risking something valuable. 6ix9ine doesn't really have anything left to lose inside this culture. What he's doing now is business. It's leverage, it's content. But the impact is still real, and the reactions afterward proved it. Some rappers applauded quietly, some stayed silent, some allegedly started deleting tweets. But all those reactions pointed to the same thing. The system 6ix9ine is exposing actually exists, and the people inside it know it does. So where does everybody stand after this? Big Bank? He'll recover. He's still one of the best interviewers in hip-hop media, and one rough interview won't erase years of credibility. But this moment is definitely going to follow him. Every time people revisit this interview, the clip everyone remembers will probably be him stumbling through the U visa definition and trying to explain away the Crime Stoppers footage. Bro, what I'm saying is, the U visa benefits non-citizen victims who suffered certain crimes. Don't stop there. That's the clip people are replaying. That's the moment sticking with the internet. Now, 21 Savage is probably the most interesting person to watch moving forward, because the U visa conversation isn't disappearing anytime soon. 6ix9ine pushed it onto a huge platform with paperwork attached, and now the legal definition itself is tied to this entire debate publicly. Eventually, 21 Savage is probably going to have to address it somehow. And however he handles it matters. If he only attacks 6ix9ine personally without speaking on the actual U visa issue, people are going to say he's dodging the real question. But if he addresses it directly and honestly explains the circumstances, that honesty could actually help him long-term because people respect transparency more than avoidance. Still, if hip-hop culture follows its usual pattern, he'll probably stay quiet while his camp handles the conversation online behind the scenes. Now Gunna. The Crime Stoppers clip isn't new in Atlanta circles. People have known about it for years. But now it's attached to one of the biggest hip-hop interviews of the year, meaning way more people are seeing it. And every time Gunna tries rebuilding his image after the YSL case, somebody's going to bring up this Big Bank and 6ix9ine interview again. Charleston, White, and Wack 100 honestly walked away from the situation looking stronger. Charleston because he was willing to discuss the nuance honestly instead of blindly picking sides. And Wack because his fairness argument exposed a contradiction the culture can't really deny without exposing itself. As for 6ix9ine himself, on pure debate points, he won this round. The culture still hates him. People still label him a rat. He's still viewed as an outsider. But in this specific interview on this specific topic, he came prepared and it showed. Now, let me end with what might be the biggest point in this entire conversation. Troy Ave tried warning people about this more than 10 years ago. He openly said the streets were a myth. He said the code wasn't real, that it was selective and performative. And he claimed the loudest people screaming about loyalty were often violating those same rules privately. Back then, people mocked him, called him bitter, ignored everything he said. But look around now. People who swore they would never cooperate suddenly watch interrogation footage from somebody they respect and say, well, technically the police didn't use the information so it doesn't count. People who spent years destroying 6ix9ine suddenly go quiet when similar allegations hit their own circle. And rappers who preached real recognize real suddenly recognize whatever is most convenient. Once friendships and money get involved, at this point, the goalpost doesn't just move people, pick it up, carry it across the field, and pretend it was there the whole time. What 6ix9ine did in this interview, whether you like him or not, is similar to what Troy Ave tried doing years ago. He pointed directly at the contradictions and basically forced the culture to choose. Either the code applies to everybody or it applies to nobody. And nobody in that room could fully choose a side. Because choosing meant either criticizing your friends or admitting the code itself isn't consistent. So instead, people stumbled, deflected, skipped parts of definitions, and found excuses for certain situations while condemning others. Meanwhile, 6ix9ine just sat back and let it happen in real time. And honestly, that's the real story here. Not just 6ix9ine versus Big Bank. Not just 6ix9ine versus 21 Savage. The bigger story is that hip-hop built a moral code it never truly intended to enforce equally. And every once in a while, somebody with nothing left to lose says that part out loud. Troy Ave said it first. 6ix9ine is saying it louder. But eventually the culture is either going to have to stop defending contradictions or keep doing what it's always done, move the goalposts, and hope nobody notices. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know where y'all stand on the Big Bank interview, the U-Visa conversation, the Gunna situation, all of it. No filters, no fake politics, just keep it real. And if you want to see how this connects to the bigger pattern of hip-hop media protecting certain artists, click the next video right here because I broke all of that down too. I'm out.